Hello students, welcome to online video lecturing classes. So I Professor C.H. Puri Shetty, Assistant Professor, Department of Mechanical Engineering. So this time I will be teaching you the 5th semester subject, that is Dynamics of Machines. The subject code is 18ME53. Okay. So to begin with the actual modules, first we'll try to go through some of the course objectives. So what are the course objective of the dynamic machine subject? So here the first objective is to understand the force motion relationship in components subjected to external forces and analysis of the standard mechanism. As you have already studied in kinematics of machines, the mechanism, how it will work, and the design of the so many mechanisms. So in this case you will try to understand how the force motion relationship in component with subjected to external forces. If there are any external forces, how the system will behave, that means how the force motion will change inside the system. That kind of things you are going to study in this subject. And the second one is to understand the undesirable effects of unbalances resulting from the prescribed motions in the mechanism. If there is undesirable effect, if there is a sudden input or sudden disturbance on the system, your system may become unbalanced. So that time how your system will, or how your mechanism will work, we are going to study in this subject. Then the third one is to understand the effect of dynamics of undesirable vibrations. So again here, if you are studying the dynamics of the machine, that means in kinematics of machines you have studied only when the system is static, but in this subject you are going to study the machine when it is operating, or when the machine is giving, or when the machine is functioning. So in that case it is very common that whenever the parts of your system are having some motions or relative motions, that time it will have the vibrations. So what all are going to be the effect of that kind of vibrations, you are going to study in this subject. Then the fourth one is to understand the principles in mechanisms used for speed control and stability control. So again, if the machine is not giving you the proper output, so that time you should have some controller in that system. So how the working principle of those kind of mechanisms you are going to study in this subject. Then the fifth one is to know the concept of modeling mechanical systems using spring mass and damper elements. Again, it includes the vibrations of the system. Then the sixth one is to compute the natural and damped frequencies of first degrees of freedom mechanical systems. When you consider the vibration into account, so that time obviously there will be natural frequency and the forced frequency or the outside frequency. Natural frequency itself is the frequency which is generating inside the system, and because of some external disturbances, whatever the external disturbances are happening to your mechanism, we can call them as the damped frequencies. Then the seventh one is to analyze the vibrational motion of single degrees of freedom mechanical system under harmonic excitation condition. So here, for if the system is having the vibration, the reasons may be anything. Either it may be a simple input, or it may be a noise, or it may be a change in the environment, or it may be the disturbance may occur in harmonic, or it may occur in transient condition. So based on that, depending upon the different disturbances occurring on the vibrational system, you are going to analyze in this subject. So now moving further, we'll try to understand what are the course outcomes of the subject. So here course outcomes means after studying this subject, that is the subject includes 5 modules and each module is having a course outcome. Okay, so after studying this subject you should be able to do all these things which are listed over here. So after studying the first module, the students should be able to apply the static and dynamic forces on 4-bar and slider crank mechanism. So here you are going to study the static and dynamic forces which are acting on the 4-bar and slider crank mechanism. So you need to be, or you should be able to analyze or apply the different forces which are acting on the static and dynamic forces which are acting on the 4-bar and slider crank mechanism. Then the second one is apply the knowledge of balancing to rotating and reciprocating masses. If a system is having rotational motion or a reciprocating motion, sometimes it may lose its balance. Okay, So after studying this subject, you should be able to balance this system if it is having some rotary motion or reciprocating motion. Then the third one is analyze Porter and Hartnell governor. So basically you are going to study these two types of governors here, and you should be able to analyze the working principle of the Porter and Hartnell governors and what are the effects of the change in the speed on the governors and how exactly the speed will vary based on the input for the governors. Then the fourth one is analyze the effect of gyroscopic couple on aeroplane, ship, two-wheelers and four-wheelers. Again it is the same thing which you need to analyze the effect of the gyroscopic couple on these elements. Then the fifth one is analyze the vibrations on single degrees of systems, as we have discussed in the course outcome objectives. So every system will have the vibration, so you should be able to analyze those vibrations for the single degrees of freedom systems. Then moving further, we'll begin with the before starting the third module, that is first we are going to start the third module, that is the governor. We'll try to have some knowledge on what exactly this dynamics of machine subject is. Okay, so here in the introduction part, first we'll try to understand what exactly the theory of machines stands for. So here, as you can see here, the theory of machines is a branch of engineering science which deals with the study of relative motion between the various parts of the machine and forces acting on them. So it is a branch of engineering science. It is not you cannot say that only it is for mechanical engineer. It is a branch of engineering science. So obviously it will deal with the relative motion between the various parts of the machine. Along with that, you have to analyze the forces acting on them. So now we'll try to understand how this dynamics of machine term is derived. Okay, so here you can see that the theory of machine is a branch of engineering science. So under this theory of machine, you will get the mechanics. Under the mechanics, we are having mechanics of solids and mechanics of fluids. So we are not going to bother about the mechanics of fluids because we are studying the systems here, because as the name itself suggests, it is a dynamics of machines. Then under this mechanics of solids, you are having rigid bodies and deformable bodies. So again we are going to concentrate on rigid bodies. So in rigid bodies you are having statics and dynamics. So here in dynamics we are going to study kinematics of machines and kinetics of machines. Put together we can call it as dynamics of machines. So before starting, we'll try to understand what exactly this kinematics and kinetics. So as here you can see in this figure, so kinematics is nothing but the study of motion without considering the forces that produces the motion. So here we are not bothering about the motion which is the reason for that motion, okay, or which is the input for that system. In case of kinetics, it is the study of motion while considering the forces that produces the motion. So here we are going to take into consideration that the input, that is whatever may be the input, either it may be in terms of force or displacement, we are going to consider that input to study its motion. So that is known as kinetics. Then we'll try to understand some of the basic definitions. So kinematics of machines, as we have discussed earlier, it is the branch of theory of machines which deals with the relative motion between the various parts of the machine. So here we are having statics. So we'll try to understand what is the difference between dynamics and statics. Okay, so statics means it is the branch of the theory of machine which deals with the force and their effect while machine parts are at rest. So when your system is at rest, that time it is you are going to analyze the forces and their effect. That means if your system is at rest, that time what are the forces are acting on and what are the effects of that force you are going to analyze. That will come under statics. But in case of dynamics, it is also the branch of theory of machines which deals with the forces and their effect while acting upon the machine parts are in motion. That means when your system is working, that time what are the forces acting on it and what are their effect, you are going to study here. Okay, so this is the brief introduction about the dynamics of machines. So now we'll begin with the module number 3, that is governors. Okay, So before starting with the classification of governors, first we'll try to understand what exactly this governor is. Okay, so the main function of governor is different from that of the flywheel, because flywheel is different and governor is different. So governor is used to maintain the speed of an engine within prescribed limits for varying load conditions. Therefore, in most of the cases, the speed of an engine varies in two ways. The first one is during each revolution or cycling variation, and the second one is over a number of revolutions. So in the first case, that is during each revolution, it is due to variation in output torque of the engine during a cycle, and it can be regulated by mounting a suitable flywheel on the engine shaft. But in the second case, it is due to variation of load upon the engine and it needs a governor. So here you can see the difference, where exactly you can use the flywheel and where exactly you can use the governor. So you can use the flywheel where during the, if the speed of the engine varies during each revolution, that time you can use the flywheel. If over a number of revolution, if the speed is changing, or if it is increasing, or if it is decreasing, that time you can use the governor, because it is used to maintain the speed. Okay, so the operation of governor is more or less intermittent, whereas that of the flywheel is continuous. Because in case of, if you use the flywheel, you are using the flywheel where the speed is changing during each revolution. That means every time it has to be activated. But in case of governor, you are using this governor only when the speed is changing during a number of cycles. Whenever if it is deviating from the speed limit, okay, so that time it has to activate the function, otherwise it can be at the rest position. So that is the reason why you can use the flywheel in case where the speed is changing during each revolution, and you can use the governor when the speed is changing over the number of revolutions. If there is no undesirable cyclic variation in the energy output, then the use of a flywheel is not necessary, but a governor is necessary, because for all the types of engines, as it regulates the supply of the fuel according to the demand. Whenever the demand is there, that is whenever if you are deviating from the speed limit, that time it will supply the fluid to the engine. So when the load on the engine increases, it becomes necessary to increase the supply of the working fluid, because that time speed will decrease. Because, and when the load decreases, less working fluid is required, because when the load is going to decrease, that time obviously speed of the engine is going to be more. So that time it is required to reduce the supply of the fluid. Okay, so depending upon the load condition, governor automatically controls the supply of working fluid by means of throttle valve to the engine and keeps the mean speed within the prescribed limits. But flywheel is used to limit the inevitable fluctuations of speed during each cycle, which are caused by the fluctuations of the engine turning moments during each cycle of operation. So here you try to understand where exactly you can use the flywheel and where exactly you can use the governor. So whenever the speed is changing in every revolution, so that time you have to use the flywheel, and whenever the speed is changing over a number of revolutions, that time you can use the governor. Okay, so the main basic function of the governor is when the load on the engine increases, obviously speed will get reduced, so that time more supply of the fluid is required to engine. So that time governor will open the throttle valve of the fluid tank, so that the more supply of the fluid will takes place into the engine. So it is going to maintain the speed limit. If the load is decreases, obviously engine speed will increase. That time it is necessary to close the throttle valve of the fluid tank. So that care will be taken by the governor. That is the main function of the governor. Now coming to the classification of the governors. So governors are broadly classified into two types. Basically, they are classified into two types. First one is centrifugal governor, and second one is inertia and flywheel governor. So in case of centrifugal governor, we are having pendulum type and loaded type. Again, in a loaded type, we are having gravity controlled or dead weight type and spring controlled type. So in case of gravity controlled or dead weight type, you are having two types: Porter governor and Royal governor. And in case of spring controlled type, you are having Hartnell governor, Wilson-Hartnell governor, combined gravity and spring control governor, and Hartung governor and Pickering governor. So in this subject we are going to more concentrate on Portner governor and Hartnell governor. That is, one governor is based on gravity controller, that is Porter governor, and one governor is based on spring control type, that is Hartnell governor. Okay, so now we'll try to understand working principle of simple centrifugal governor. So before that, we'll try to understand what exactly centrifugal governor is. So in the centrifugal type governors, the change in centrifugal force of the rotating masses due to change in speed of engine is used for the movement of the governor sleeve. Therefore, the centrifugal force is balanced by controlling force acting radially inwards, which is provided by dead weight or the spring or both. Okay. So now if you come to the working principle of simple centrifugal governor, so it is one of the simplest type of the governor which is shown in figure. So here the change in centrifugal force of the rotating masses due to change in speed of engine is utilized. It is utilized for movement of the governor sleeve. So here you can see that any change in centrifugal force of the rotating mass due to change in speed. So these two are the rotating masses. If there is any change in the forces of the rotating mass, then the change of the speed engine is utilized by using this sleeve movement. Okay, so the engine and governor speed decreases when the load increases. This causes decreases of the centrifugal force on the balls. Hence, the balls and sleeves moves downward. Okay, so this results in an increase in valve opening and increases the supply of the working fluid to the engine. So the speed of engine increases. Okay, so whenever the load on the engine decreases, the engine and governor speed will increases. This causes an increase of centrifugal force on the balls. That time the balls open out and the sleeves move downward. So this will result in decrease in the valve opening. That means it is going to close the throttle valve. Because of that, the supply of the fluid to the engine will decrease, so that speed of the engine will also get reduced there. So that means you are going to maintain the speed over there. So here, if the centrifugal force on these rotating masses decreases, so that time obviously this sleeve will move towards the downside. When it is moving towards the downside, that means your speed of the engine is reducing. So that time the throttle valve will get opened to supply the proper fluid to the engine, fuel to the engine. If the controlling centrifugal force on these rotating masses increases, so that time they will rotate with the higher radius of rotation. So that time obviously this sleeve will have the upward motion, and when sleeve is having upward motion, that time this throttle valve is going to close, so that it will reduce the supply of the fuel to the engine to reduce the speed here. Now moving further, governors. Okay, so we'll try to understand some of the basic definitions. The very first, these are the terms which are related to a governor. Okay, so the first one is sensitiveness. Okay, so the basic definition of this sensitiveness is, it is a ratio of the difference between maximum and minimum equilibrium speed to the mean equilibrium speed. So here you can see the equation. This is the equation for sensitiveness. So here this N2 is maximum equilibrium speed, and N1 is minimum equilibrium speed, and N is mean equilibrium speed. So as the definition states that it is the ratio of difference between maximum and minimum equilibrium speed, that is N2 minus N1, that is in the numerator, to the mean equilibrium speed. So mean means you need to take the average of the equilibrium speeds, that is maximum and minimum, that is N2 plus N1 by 2 is the mean equilibrium speed, N2 minus N1 is difference between the equilibrium speeds. So with the help of this equation you can calculate sensitiveness of the governor. Then the second one is governor effort. So the basic definition is that it is a mean force exerted on the sleeve to raise it or lower it for a given percentage change of speed. That means whenever there is a change of speed of the engine, so that a time you need to, the sleeve will have some movement. Based on that sleeve movement, the throttle valve is going to open. Okay, so here the force which is exerted on the sleeve, why the force is exerting on the sleeve? Because of the change in centrifugal force on the rotating masses. Okay, that is rotating flywheels. So if there is a change in centrifugal force on those rotating masses, obviously sleeve will have some change in its movement. So that effort, that force, we can call it as governor effort. Then the third one is governor power. So it is the work done on the sleeve for a given percentage of speed. So the governor power is nothing but the product of mean effort and the distance through which sleeve moves. So the basic equation is governor power is given by mean effort into lift of sleeve, that is the distance of the sleeve or the distance of the movement of the sleeve, we can say. Then the fourth one is hunting. So it is the speed of the engine controlled by governor fluctuates continuously above and below the mean speed. So it is the speed of the engine controlled by the governor when it is fluctuating continuously above and below the limited speed. That time the condition, we can call it as a hunting. So this is caused by two sensitive governors. If the sensitiveness of the governor is high, that time hunting can be happen. Then in actual practice, hunting is impossible in isochronous governor because of the friction of the mechanism. Then the fifth one is stability. So stability of a governor, if I want to say that if a governor is said to be a stable when for each speed within the working range, the ball weights occupy the definite specified position. In other words, we can say that if there is only one radius of rotation of the governor balls for each equilibrium speed, we can call it as a governor as a stable governor. That means only if it is having one radius of rotation, okay, for any kind of input, if it is having only one radius of rotation, that time we can call it as a, we can call that governor as a stable governor. Then the sixth one is unstable governor. Sixth definition is unstable governor. So here, if a governor is said to be unstable if the radius of rotation decreases as the speed increases. Depending upon the speed, if the radius of rotation, if it is decreasing, that time we can call it as unstable governor. Then the seventh one is isochronous governor. Whenever you want to call a governor as a isochronous governor, if the equilibrium speed is constant for all radii of rotation of the balls within the working range. For example, if the minimum radius of rotation is r1 and maximum is r2, so the r1 minus r2 will be my working range. Okay, so the radius of rotation for the different speeds will change from r1 to r2. So in between, for all the values of r, if it is having the equilibrium speed, then we can call it as a isochronous governor. So these are the some of the basic definitions which are related to governors. So now moving further, we'll start with the Porter governor. Okay, so this is the schematic diagram of the Porter governor here. Already we have seen the working principle of simple centrifugal governor. The same working principle we can apply here. Okay, so basically this Porter governor is a modification of Watt's governors. If the sleeve of the Watt's governor is loaded with the heavy mass, so here if you are going to load this sleeve with the heavy mass, then we can call it as a Porter governor. Okay, so here in this diagram you can see, so this is the central load and this is the sleeve and these are the flying masses or balls. Okay, so this is the lower arm link and this is the upper arm link and it is pivoted at this point. So the distance between this rotating mass to this pivot point, we can call it as h, that is the height. and the distance between the central line and the center of the radius of rotation, we can call it as r. So here also, when the load on the engine increases, so that time obviously speed will decrease. If the speed is decreasing, that time these balls and this sleeve will have the downward motion. When this is having the downward motion, that time it is going to open the throttle valve in the fuel tank. So when it is opening the throttle valve of the fuel tank, more supply of the fuel will be done to the engine, so that it will increase the speed to maintain the speed limit. If the load on the engine decreases, that time the speed obviously it will increase, and these valves will rotate with the higher radius of rotation. When they are rotating with the higher radius of rotation, the sleeve will have the upward motion. When it is the sleeve is having the upward motion, because this sleeve is directly connected to the throttle valve opening system, throttle valve mechanism, we can say. Okay, when the sleeve is having upward motion, that time it is going to reduce the fuel supply to the engine, or it is going to close the throttle valve. Okay, so this is the basic principle of the Porter governor. Now moving further, if you want to understand, or if you want to calculate, or if you want to determine the speed and height of the Porter governor, there are two methods. One is method of resolution of forces, and second one is instantaneous center method. So in the first method, we are going to resolve the forces to get the equation for the speed and height for the governor. And in the second method, it is the instantaneous center method. As you already have studied in kinematics of machine, you know how to locate the instantaneous center. So by taking that instantaneous center as the reference center, we are going to resolve the forces, or we are going to take the moments about that center point, and we are going to get the equation for the speed and height of the Porter governor. Okay, so in the next video lecture, we'll try to derive the equations for the speed and height of the Porter governor by using both the method, that is method of resolution of forces and instantaneous center method. I hope you understand what is the basic concept of the dynamics of machines, what are the course outcomes and what are the course objectives, how that dynamics of machine is derived, and what exactly is the governor, and what is the function of governor, and what is the function of flywheel, and where you have to use the flywheel and where you can use the governor, and classification of governors. And we have discussed about the simple working principle of centrifugal governor, and we have gone through the working principle of Porter governor. So in the next video, we'll be dealing with the derivation of speed and height of the Porter governor. If you have any doubt, you can leave the comment in the comment box. Thank you for watching.